Your wedding is supposed to be the happiest day of your life. For some people, their wedding has ended up becoming the saddest day of their life, or even the saddest season of their life. In this video, we're going to look at how a wedding can turn from becoming the happiest day of your life to a sad day in your life, and how to avoid that. For people who want to have a big wedding, one thing that we all know for sure is a big wedding comes at a big cost. Every big wedding comes at a big cost. And most times when people have a big wedding, if your parents are not funding it, if your friends are not funding it, if your colleagues are not funding it, you must fund it yourself. If you don't have a very deep pocket, you have to save, sometimes for months, most times for years, to finance a big wedding. And when you are saving, you put the marriage on hold. I know people who have saved for 2 years, for 3 years, just to put everything together, to pay the bride price, to do the traditional marriage, travel to the village, pay for event center, to buy clothes, to buy wedding clothes, to buy the cake, to do everything, to pay for hotel. A lot of things come into play if you want a big wedding. So it's not news to say big weddings cost big money. You need to have a big budget if you want a big wedding. But the question is, how do you get this big budget, this big money to pay for a big wedding? If somebody's telling you about a big wedding, the question should be, who pays the big money? Who writes the big check for the big wedding? If you have earning a salary, maybe you are earning an average salary like in Nigeria, it will take you years to save. And as you are saving, inflation is increasing the cost. You are saving money for rice. The price of rice has gone up. You are saving money for malt. The price of malt has gone up. And you are still saving because you want a big wedding. Marriage that would have happened maybe in 2026 will probably end up happening in 2029 because you are saving for a big wedding, because you want a big wedding. So by the end of the day, the big wedding becomes a burden more than becoming a blessing. And the big wedding is supposed to be a blessing. If a big wedding becomes a burden instead of a blessing, you got it wrong. In addition to that, most times when people are saving, because they are together, because they are working together, because they are spending time together, they fall into temptation because of the extended time that they're spending together, planning for wedding. You know, they love themselves, but they can't get married because the wedding plan is there, the money is not together, the money is not ready, and you are planning forever to get the money ready. By the end of the day, you save for your wedding, but you don't save yourself. Where loans are available, people tend to borrow to sponsor the wedding. They fall into this temptation of borrowing money for this big wedding. What's the problem with that? When you borrow to sponsor or to pay or to fund your wedding, marriage is mortgaged from day one. So from the first day of the marriage, you are not thinking about honeymoon, how to enjoy your marriage. You are thinking about pressure from the people who give you the loan. If you borrow from finance houses, interest rates are very high. Their pressure is very high. So it could put pressure on your marriage. Your marriage could start to fracture. Your marriage could crack because of the burden, the weight of running around to pay. And it may be only one person working, maybe only the man is working, the wife is not working. In addition to all the bills you have to pay, in addition to all the responsibilities you had before wedding, after you borrow money to pay for the wedding, the responsibility of paying a loan for the marriage is added to your already existing responsibility, and that becomes a back-breaking burden. So it puts pressure on you, it puts pressure on your wife, it puts pressure on the family, it puts pressure on the children, it puts pressure on everybody, and you begin to ask yourself, was it worth it? How long did the reception last? How long did the marriage last? You borrowed money and everything about the marriage, maybe 6 hours, in some cases 3-4 hours, and it's going to take you 3 years to pay, sometimes longer. So it does not make any sense to go to a finance house, to go to a bank, or even go to friends and borrow money to finance a big wedding, and then start to die slowly under the pressure of paying the principal you borrowed plus the interest on it. As we all know, money has opportunity cost. The money you spent on wedding could have been spent on buying another thing. Instead of spending 5 million naira for a big wedding or 10 million naira for a big wedding, that could buy you a half plot of land, or that could fence a plot of land that's already existing, or that could be put into stock or shares or mutual funds. So instead of using the money to sponsor a wedding, a big wedding, and then start paying loan, you could use it to buy mutual fund, an index fund that in 3 years will make you a lot of money, in 4 years will make a lot of money, or buy property, buy land, buy something else, buy shares. There are so many other things you can invest money in. So if you take 3 million, 5 million, 10 million naira and have a big wedding, a big ball, invite everybody, even 20 million naira in some cases. If another person put his own in mutual fund, in an index fund, or bought single stock shares, or bought land, property, or built a house, you know, you're going to one day be asking, assuming I did not have a ball, assuming I invested in index funds, in mutual funds, assuming I did exchange traded funds instead of having a big jamboree, maybe that 10 million naira would be 30 million now. Maybe that 3 million would have become 9 million. Maybe my 5 million would have become 15 million. But it's forever regret. It's forever gone. Of course, some people will say, a wedding is a once in a lifetime thing. A wedding is this, a wedding is that. You don't have it 2 times. People die once in a lifetime. People don't die twice. Because something is once in a lifetime doesn't mean anything. You know, when you die once in a lifetime. So don't say wedding is once in a lifetime and because of that you're going to kill yourself, because it doesn't make sense. So don't borrow money to have a big wedding. Invest it in an index fund. Most times, there's another hidden cost of big weddings that nobody thinks about. Most people don't know. When you have a big wedding where you invite everybody, there's an expectation, there's a pressure to live up to this type of large life. What does that mean? You have a large wedding, you have a big wedding. People expect after this big wedding, you're going to live in a big house. You're going to get a big car. You're going to send your children to big schools. You're going to buy big clothes. You're going to even eat big. You're going to do everything big. You will not send your children to a small school. You will not live in a small house that you used to live in. You will not drive a small car or maybe a trek. You're not going to go to this or go to that. Everybody's expectation from you, big house, big school for the children, a big car, live on a big street. Everything is big, big, big. And you don't want to disappoint them or disappoint yourself or disappoint your wife. And you see, you have what is called permanent pressure on you. It becomes a pain point because everybody say you had this kind of big wedding. Where does he live? You're supposed to live on a big street. What type of house? A big house. What school are you sending the children? A big school. What type of car do you drive? A big car. What about clothes? You're going to wear designer clothes. This all started because you give the impression that you're a big boy. You are a big person. You're a big girl. You have the money. You can't have a big wedding of 20 million naira. And after the wedding of 20 million naira, you go to live in a back flat. Everybody will be like, what happened? Or you send your children to a back school. Or you drive an old car. So to make sure that all this pressure doesn't come on you, it's good to start on a clean slate. Even if you have the money for a big wedding, invest in something that compounds, in something that makes money for you, in something that builds well. Big weddings don't build well. Nobody has ever said, I had a big wedding and it's compounding at 12% per annum. Weddings don't compound at 12% per annum. Property can compound at 20% per annum. Buying common shares can do that. Mutual funds, exchange traded funds. There are so many things you can put your money in that can compound 12%, 24% per annum. Not wedding. Wedding doesn't compound anything. Wedding is gone and it's gone. And it puts a lot of pressure on you. So it's a hidden cost that every time that people see you, they expect you to live according to the size of your wedding, and you can avoid that. It is important for you to remember there's another hidden cost. Everybody you don't invite to your big wedding becomes a hidden enemy, because the big wedding is going to be on social media, it's going to be on Instagram, it's going to be on TikTok, it's going to be on Facebook, it could even be on television. Everybody who was close to you in school, close to you in church, close to you here, close to you there, relatives, they see it everywhere. So you had a big wedding, such a large wedding, and you didn't even bother to invite them. And they thought they were your friends, and they thought they were your relatives, and they thought they were close to you. They won't come and say, we are enemies now, but it's another hidden cost. They start to bear bitterness. They start to have resentment. They start to have grudges. This resentment is there. This grudges is there. But it's there. And it could grow. In the future, when you want to do another thing with them, you don't know that they are still sad about the wedding you had 3 years ago that was on Facebook that you didn't invite them. But if you have a small wedding, nobody hears about it. In fact, even when they hear about it and hear how small it is, they will not say, so you didn't invite me to this small, tiny wedding that you had. But if it's huge, if it's massive, if it's all over the place, it's on the news, and you didn't invite people that thought they were your friends, they won't just say, well, when I do my own, I will not invite you. They start to count you as an enemy, and you don't need that. Finally, another hidden cost of having big weddings is the mental, the physical, and the emotional exhaustion of planning it before, during, and after the wedding. There's a lot of emotional exhaustion, a lot of physical exhaustion, a lot of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion. You are exhausted. Some people become ill. Some people are hospitalized after their wedding. Some people are hospitalized during the planning of the wedding. They had accidents. Some lost their lives. Some lost a limb. Some lost different things. Just because you want to invite somebody to a big wedding, you travel from Eastern Nigeria to Northern Nigeria or to Western Nigeria to physically invite them and give them a gift or a present so that they will be there physically. So planning a big wedding is not the same thing as planning a small wedding. There are so many costs of planning a big wedding. Some of them are avoidable. If you avoid the big wedding, you don't have to travel all over the country inviting people. You don't have to travel all over the country talking to different event managers, event centers, cake makers, cloth makers, dress makers, this one, that one, security people. You don't have to do all that. You can save yourself all that money, all that exhaustion, all that sickness, all that exposure by having a modest but decent wedding that you will not regret in the future. If this message has spoken to you, if it has given you some insight or spoken to your heart, I want you to share with some other people that will be a blessing to. If you're a returning viewer, don't forget to subscribe. And if you are new, my name is Forward, JP Forward. See you in the next one.